Go.
On today's DNVR Nuggets podcast, we're going to be looking at who impressed the most in the Abu Dhabi Games.
Also, do the Nuggets need a midseason trade or trade right now? PJ Tucker?
Plus, we break down our favorite team bonding activities. This is the DNBA show.
The whole band arc is like my favorite arc. At the end when he's like reunion tour, some old stuff. Love it, man. Love it. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness. Presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm here Monday morning. Had a nice little weekend. Remember we talked yesterday about how we played basketball? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that? Felt fine. I can't walk today. Today, somehow, I had a rest day that made everything worse.
Adam didn't look like he was going to make it through game one. Adrenaline carried him through the next 48 hours.
Adrenaline.
And now
the heat of competition brings out the competitive spirit in you.
I hope you enjoyed the clips, everyone, because that was the grand finale.
That really was. I am officially retired now. Also retired, Harrison Wind.
I've been laying on a heating pad for the last 2 days on my couch. I have it like officially set up permanently, actually.
We're so unimpressive, man.
It's on high. 3 levels, low, medium, high. I'm on high.
I think I
remember
need ice.
this the next time we call out a professional athlete for their conditioning.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I
Always
mean,
injured? Come on.
To
Come
be
on.
fair, that's not our profession.
That is so
It's
true.
Very important.
We talked about this.
Very important
us
detail.
being, their equivalent of out of shape, it would be like us going 45 minutes on a show.
That's so true. And also, you know what? We're here. Pain and
Right.
all, playing through
That's
it.
right.
Exactly.
Over here, Brendan Vogt. Look at this velvety hat.
Yeah, shout out Breckenridge Brewery, longtime friend of the program. I'm so excited for another week with you guys. I don't know if I meant it when I said that, but here we go.
Do you remember, is that hat, does it remind you, Kale, you'll know this, is it Christopher Robin? Is that what he looks like? It's like a velvet hat, little Christopher Robin hat?
right.
That's
I
what
like
it looks
this one.
like.
It's nice.
We're going to update you on some things from over the weekend, some headline, if you will. We're going to start with the least surprising news in history. Woj retires from ESPN, moves on. Who could we find to replace him?
Who could it be?
Who could it be, man? What if it was Shams? What if I told you? Would you believe that it was Shams headed to ESPN?
I have to cancel my stadium subscription. This is a bummer.
Has he been at stadiums?
I don't know.
I don't even know either.
know what stadium is.
I don't know
but
either.
Yeah, this was coming. This was the natural move. And now the real question is, I have to check my email for draft odds on who's going to take the athletic job. And down we go. The Waterfall Newspaper. You guys buckled up for this?
You know those are fake, right?
Yeah, I did.
Isn't that a great business, just putting out fake odds?
I know. Actually, it's good. Last day in Aruba. All right, go on.
It's like, who's going to be the next man on the DNVR Nuggets podcast or woman?
Yeah, the odds are showing.
Kale's like plus 1150.
Yeah, Kale's
like,
on
I'm already
there.
on it.
Total sucker bet.
Vlatko Čančar plus 2,000.
I mean, that one's on the table. Do you have any notes on this? I mean, in all sincerity, the Woj thing, Woj majorly impacted the way the NBA was covered because the ESPN is by far the most important partner for reach and everything else, and Woj had a stranglehold on it. I don't know how much I think of Shams and Woj as different. I think of them different in terms of how they present themselves. Like Shams is a younger, hipper guy, way worse writer. But I just wonder, like, what is this? Does this have an impact on the NBA? I feel like it does, but I'm not sure how.
Well, it was interesting because something about their dynamic as the two biggest newsbreakers was that there was this understanding, if you were in the business, that Woj's scoops came from the teams
Right.
and Shams's scoops came from the agents. That was just kind of this understanding that was out there, and everybody kind of knew about it. It was a little public, I think, but
Sure.
not broadcasted out there. So I wonder if that changed. Now does Shams just get the agents because he already had those contacts, and now he's going into ESPN where I assume he's going to be kind of grandfathered into those other team contacts too. So doesn't he get both now?
Yeah, does Woj pass the Rolodex along? Because what's their relationship like now? They're
icy,
like,
I
they're
believe.
icy, right? But they used to be Jedi Padawan, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of their thing. So I
But
guess
if you
not.
follow that story, one went to the dark side.
Oh, is that true? Guys, which one? Star Wars or this? What are you talking
I
about?
think Star Wars is what I was referencing.
Honestly, wasn't
Anakin,
sure
you know what I'm
meant.
talking about, Kale.
Yeah. So
He becomes Darth Vader.
Don't
Spoiler
have
alert.
too much wrapped up personally.
It's actually Luke's father, so I don't know.
In what this looks like. I did think it would be Shams. I just think he's going to inherit, sort of like it's a power vacuum. So he'll probably get to play that same role that Woj used to.
I think there's a general, I hate cynicism. You guys know that. It's one of my number one things that I despise just as a person. But this is one area where I'm a little cynical about media in general. And honestly, part of why we try to start DNVR and ultimately All City is to try to make cool stuff, because I feel like cool has been strangled out of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And Woj leaving, at least there was a counterbalance. There were two guys competing for information. And I do think sometimes about ESPN, in my opinion, has ruined a lot about the NBA and what I like about it. They've kind of strangled it and lost it. Now you cut Zach Lowe, who was one of the things we liked about basketball. Now he's out. So I look at ESPN and I just think over the last 15 years, they've been a force for bad, in my mind. And now I look at it and I go, now they have a monopoly on information. Whereas before they had a monopoly, but slightly less. And that's why I think it's kind of a big deal. And I'm curious how it plays out. Another storyline at The Athletic. The Athletic over the weekend published an article, one bold prediction for every single team. And
Nobody's ever come up with that before.
well, our friend Tony Jones, who represents Denver in part,
Our guy.
he wrote a hot take prediction, and Vogt, you're going to love it. He predicts the Nuggets will have an all-star teammate for Nikola Jokic this year.
Jamal Murray,
Play the air
you're
horn.
incoming.
There we go.
Jamal Murray, you're incoming.
Oh, no. Not Jamal Murray.
Oh?
No, not Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr.
Let's go.
How many pepper take are we talking here, Kale?
7.
And for an MPJ, but not Murray, I think it's a 5 pepper take, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I don't know.
It is a 5 pepper take.
We'll go 4.
But because here's why I say it's at least 4 to 5. Because it's not really about, is Michael Porter Jr. good enough? Is he good at basketball?
Yeah.
He is on the Denver Nuggets, where it's just not. They're not like, let's get this guy an all-star. That's part of what we're doing. That's what the next 40 games are about. Or even because we think on the other end of that, we'll turn into a different team. They feel like they know who they are. They want to be the best version of themselves as they exist. And I just don't think that includes Porter getting enough volume or impact shots down the stretch. Whether or not he needs to be an all-star, I do kind of. It would be one or the other, but I just think it would be Jamal first and foremost because of opportunity,
Yeah, it's a hot take for sure.
and it's meant to be.
I think it's a scorching hot take, and it is meant to
a
be.
scorching hot take. There's a little more wiggle room when it comes to forward center spots,
Right.
than there are guard spots.
Yeah.
I feel like all-star teams probably should be expanded beyond 12 players.
Really? You're
Kind
a
of.
participation trophy kind of guy?
Well, no, but it's just your 4 guards are like Luka Doncic,
Yeah, he's good.
SGA, the second and third finishers and MVP last year.
It's tough, man.
Steph, Anthony Edwards. There's 4 guards right there. And then you
Man.
have 2 wild card spots.
Man, they're all getting in for sure without an injury.
For
huh?
sure.
For sure.
And then reserves,
Devin Booker.
you got exactly John Morant.
John Morant.
I forgot it. Yeah, he's back in this whole conversation.
He's back in the
Yeah.
conversation.
So there's more competition at the guard spot, I think. But you just think about what Michael Porter would have to do and what Jamal Murray would have to not do to get consideration. Jamal would have
Yep.
to miss a lot of games probably because just the role he plays, who he is, if he plays enough, he's going to put up numbers similarly to what he had last year, I would think. Michael Porter would have to take a big jump, and that would also probably have to coincide with Murray missing time.
Missing time. I mean, there's no world where Murray just plays, but MPJ in a diminished role. Because you're right. When you watch the
Things
games,
don't change up that much.
that much. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you're right. Yeah. Unless it's just Murray not looking good. Here's the point I was going to take on this. There's no way this happens without it being a bad thing. That's my take.
Probably, yeah.
It's either Murray is hurt or Murray is so underperforming that Mike is just scoring more, even though he's taking less touches and everything else.
Yeah.
Mike getting closer to 19, 20 points per game. We've talked about it. I honestly think it's just him taking and making more shots in the role that he's in, them looking for him more. And I think they can do the latter. But again, let's not hold our breath on some sort of transformational, fundamental change to his role. He's not going to be running pick and rolls with Jokic. And as long as Jamal is, he's just in pole position. That's all.
I will say, though, he looked really good, though, in the one game. I wish we would have seen two. It's so funny. Like, the Nuggets preseason, they started earlier than everybody else, and we got the one game in. But the fact that they rested so many guys game two, they don't play again until Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, they went from the first game to they'll actually be the fewest games played by the next weekend. So it is, for us personally, almost hard because we have to extrapolate off of, for MPJ, for example, off of one half of basketball.
Right.
But he looked really good.
Look, Porter's, first of all, you guys know how I feel. Porter is really good, but also he's just healthy right now. This is the longest stretch, knock on wood, because we are not guaranteed even another minute of his career. That's the cold, hard truth of it. But this is the longest stretch he's had of runway to get better and improve without anything being pulled out from underneath him. And so maybe he takes off this year to finish the metaphor. I just don't know if it's going to be, it would have to be such a fundamental change in offensive identity for him to be an all-star and Murray not.
Also, the Nuggets have to be probably like top 3 in the West when all-star voting
Which was
happening.
which was part of Tony Jones's argument, is he thinks the Nuggets are going to be good, which I thought interesting because a lot of people are putting him down below that threshold.
You know
a
what?
little bit.
It's funny. I mean, Tony, I'm going to speak candidly. Like, we see Tony every day, so if he disagrees with any of this, he can tell me. Tony was a Utah Jazz writer for a long time, and before the Nuggets had turned a corner too. And I think he sort of was on a certain side of, not even side of the fence, just wasn't in Denver for the time that we all fell in love with the possibilities.
Yeah.
And so I think had a little more of a, I guess he was less, it took him longer to just buy in, right? Because he wasn't doing it as a fan.
Right.
And I think now that he's been here and he's seen it, he understands what the rest of us know, which is, hey, as long as 15's on the court, like, they're going to win a lot of games.
But I also wonder from an outside perspective if that's healthy, because maybe he has a different view on MPJ and Jamal Murray than we do.
Right. That's kind of what I meant.
Considering our views obviously been built up based on the last 6-7 years.
Yes. Yeah.
He's coming from it at a totally different perspective.
And there's so I didn't mean that to be critical, by the way. Like, there's value in juxtaposing his perceptions against ours. Is my point.
I think it's an interesting take for sure.
I think it is as well. Let's take our first break, though, because on the other side, I want to talk about Michael Porter some more, because we're going to ask, after 2 preseason games, who has been the big standout. I have a feeling we'll all have different answers.
Sure.
And I also have a feeling Michael Porter will pop up on the list.
Shout out to our friends over at UC Health.
Shout him out.
We love our guys over at UC Health and girls. They have a Ready, Set, Co campaign going on right now. Very excited to partner up with our friends at UC Health. Coach Prime, he is the Chief Motivation Officer of UC Health's Ready, Set, Co Challenge. He wants to help you and other Coloradans be your healthiest selves this year. The goal of the challenge, it's pretty simple. Get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state in the country. We've got to reclaim our top spot. We've been slacking Colorado. Here are some things to keep in mind when you're on your own personal journey to be your healthiest self. 8 hours of sleep, that is the magic number. Make a good night's sleep a priority. Put your phone down when you go to bed. Try guided sleep apps and plan your bedtime based on your wake-up time. Make sure you get enough time in bed. If you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Co Challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/ReadySetCo.
Toyota has a lot of trucks. I don't know if you know that. They have a lot of truck offerings for you, options for you. But that's not all they do. Let's take it all the way to the other side of the spectrum. How about low and zero emission vehicles? Well, it turns out they have more of those combined than any other automakers. And of course, all types of vehicles ranging in between, from the smooth city rides to valuing safety to finding the perfect balance, the perfect vehicle for you. There's a lot of type of Coloradans out here these days. No matter what type of Coloradan you are, there is a Toyota for
Hopefully a
you.
healthy one.
Hopefully.
Well,
We gotta turn that. Take your Toyota up to the mountains, like I did this past weekend. Not to brag. Visit your Front Range
Really?
stores at a location near you. Went for a hike.
Where'd we go? Oh, where at?
Somewhere near Evergreen. I already forget the trail though. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, saw some Aspens, they were yellow. Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Not a lot of Aspens in Evergreen.
You're getting called out, Vogt.
I mean, there are Aspens, but not a lot.
No, it's not where you go to see them.
Yeah.
But you can see the
You can
speckled
see
ones
'em.
of yellows, and that's
It is
all I'm
pretty.
saying.
Evergreen is pretty, though. Huh?
All right.
The little lakes and stuff.
I'm not making it up. I'm just probably wrong about something. That's different.
More just making a pun on the name Evergreen and leaves changing. All right, we're back here, segment 2. Don't forget, Ariana is coming in, the Good Witch. She's going to be doing the tarot reading live from the DNVR bar on Tuesday, October 15th. The Nuggets play the Thunder, the final preseason game, I believe. Is it the final one or second to last? It might be second to last preseason game. And we're going to be having her right here in studio. Come on out. It should be a fun time. She'll be doing tarot readings right from the bar. Going to be really cool. We're excited to have her, obviously, here.
RSVP online, too. TheDNVR.com, so we know how many people are coming.
Let's give one player that we believe stood out at preseason through 2 games. Harrison, I'll let you go first. And let us know in the chat, by the way. I want to know who everybody. I'm
Other
curious if there's
than Jokic?
consensus. You can pick Jokic if he's your standout.
You can take them.
I am going to go with... I mean, it's tough because I would go Michael Porter, but he didn't play in the second preseason game. Does he have to play in both games?
Absolutely not. You can pick Jokic. You can pick anybody. Michael Malone.
I'm going to pick Michael Porter.
Jaylen Brown if you want.
I'm buying a lot of stock in Michael Porter right now, even though he didn't play in the second game. Just based on what I saw at training camp and what I saw in that first preseason game, I think Porter is like in his best space heading into a season that I've probably seen him in. Fully healthy for the offseason. Obviously was in the gym a ton. We know that about him. I mean, he is an A+ top class workout guy. Like,
loves
he's always
basketball,
in the
man.
gym. An absolute hooper in that regard. His body looks great. He's put on muscle. He's bulked up a little bit. He's strong. It seems like his mindset is in a really healthy spot too. I just feel like everything is aligned for him to have a great start to the year. And he looked really good in that first game too. We'll see what happens with his role and if he's staggering with the bench, if he's playing more power forward or what. That, I think, would certainly help him, to have a great start to the year. But I just feel like everything is aligned and shaping up for him to be on like a real upward trajectory here.
This is a pro MPJ show, and I haven't had to say a word.
Can I tell you my pro MPJ thing? This is really like, I just needed one game where he took shots and they went in. And I'm like, okay. He missed everything last year. Shot 42%.
Yeah.
Missed everything. I just think last year was a bit of an anomaly, especially the first couple years. I agree with you. Also, knock on wood, because you never know with his health. It's such a precarious thing.
You really don't.
You know what? There's a little momentum there. So I'm going to knock on wood and say it. But he would have been my first pick. I really liked what I saw, even though it was a half. He just looks confident. He looks ready to go. I think opportunity is going to come for him this year with KCP gone. They need a little bit more scoring, and I just think he's going to fill into it. And I think Russell Westbrook is going to be a good pairing for him. So I am buying the MPJ stock. And you know what, Tony Jones? It's not crazy. I don't think it's going to happen. It's a 5 pipper take. But I just expect a career year from Michael Porter.
It just doesn't seem like there are a lot of questions around him. The only questions are, what's the coaching staff going to decide to do with him?
But this year, more than ever, they might actually, they had the luxury of not necessarily needing his scoring in previous years. And I don't know if they'll have that luxury this year. There might be a little more like,
great point.
We kind of need Mike to score tonight.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm buying MPJ. I'm
buying too.
I'm so high on him right now.
I'm going to sell. No, you guys are right. Can I go? I'll go.
You don't even want to say anything on Michael Porter? Like, is it just like
No, I think you guys.
we covered all bases?
Yeah, I don't want to turn into a parody of myself.
All right.
I think you guys covered it. I will go with a less flashy pick. I'll say Dario Saric, who I think it's not necessarily that he popped as much as anyone, so much as it's we can all close our eyes and picture what the backup big minutes have looked like. And it looked very, very different, in my opinion. Even in moments where he wasn't even producing a ton or committed some dumb fouls or whatever. I just thought, yeah, that feels different, or that looks different, or at least there's hope with Jokic off the floor with Saric out there. To me, I think a lot of the things that people like that Vlatko brought to the second unit, I think Saric does better, has experience with at the NBA, and he's bigger. So there's an all-around aspect to his game that I'm very, very hopeful about, and dare I say bullish on right now.
So he's interesting. He would have been on my short list of guys because I do like what I saw, and I'm not even sure we've seen the best of him. The thing I'll say about Saric that gave me pause and why he didn't make my short list of guys I would mention is, one thing I'm concerned about him is how well is he going to finish through contact? How well is he going to be able to handle? Like, I put out there that he's a big guy, and he is. He bullies guys. Like, he seals. We talked about that on the postgame show yesterday. He does such a great job of using his body to his advantage and doing his work early. But one play really stands out to me in game 2 where he got the ball, some guys around him, like in the trees. You have to go up with it in that moment, and he went up and missed. And it was one of those things where he missed it in a way and even went up with it in a way, like finishing at the net, below the rim. Yeah. Where I was like, yeah, that's going to be a weakness. Yep. And that might be a thing that actually hurts, that we feel. I don't know if Denver mitigates that. You need some rim pressure. And that's one reason I would maybe knock him down into like tier B of guys that stand out.
Yeah, I would say it's not that he, it was an S tier preseason. It's just, I see the vision,
I agree with you for sure on that.
You have to feel so much better about that than Zeke, Najee, DeAndre.
No.
Well, yeah. I mean, Saric, he's not a guy that's going to totally shine, in the preseason.
Right. 25 points.
Especially when he's playing with like a all bench lineup for sure. And that's what he's been out there with. He's just going to look solid, and I feel like that's how he'll look when the games start for real too.
They did mix it up, they being Michael Malone, where he did play some with Jokic. He played with DeAndre. He played with different combinations, and I feel like Malone, at least in the preseason, is going to experiment with a lot of that. I still think I like him just as the straight center.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be the role he plays most likely. Pretty much the entire time, pretty much the whole season, I feel like he'll be penciled in as the backup center.
Based on what you saw, is there a pairing you like more than the others?
In terms of the two backup bigs?
Yeah, like a 4-5 combo with Saric.
I like Saric, Michael Porter.
Defensively? You're just punting on it?
I'm kind of punting, yeah.
Okay. Do you have one you prefer?
I don't really like Saric, Vlatko. I don't really like Saric, Aaron Gordon, to be real. Saric, MPJ is really the only one I kind of like.
I agree.
Defensively, they're going to be bad, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that, but I don't. But as I say it, if it doesn't happen, what is the look?
Put Peyton Watson out there. Put Christian Brown out there. Balance it out.
Yeah, one thing I do wonder about. Yeah, that's true. If you give a couple defenders out at the wing spots, your forward can be a little less, whatever. One thing I wonder about, and this is kind of dumb, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but Holmes, if he was healthy, would you just based on what we know about him as a prospect, is Holmes Saric something you kind of like?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, or at least just kind of feed the minutes in and see what it looks like, Yes, let's be honest. Holmes wasn't a lock to play, but it was on the table.
Especially watching Zeke and Vlatko early. I mean, it's just early. We're not reading
as you try to figure out what the combinations of skill sets are and what they could look like. That is definitely something we would have liked to have seen at some point. But
I feel like he would have played a little bit here and there. Yeah. A sprinkle here, sprinkle there.
Yeah.
I also want to say that I saw some Vlatko consternation online, and I just thought I don't think it's going to look great for another month. It might not ever look great, but I think he's going to look rusty probably for the next 7 to 8 appearances, to be honest.
I agree. And like so many guys on the roster, he's probably going to play even if he's bad because there's not a ton of options there. Yeah. So I think that'll happen.
I honestly might like Saric, Zeke.
Oh, my God.
A little more than Saric, Vlatko.
I can't get there.
Just because Zeke, he's got some ability defensively.
Without a doubt, funniest outcome of the year.
Run the floor.
Is Zeke looking good in that combo?
Maybe you put him back in that power forward spot, he can rediscover the shot a little bit. I know I'm reaching here, but Saric Zeke is actually a more intriguing combo to me than Saric and a lot of other bigs. I just feel like Saric he's a center. I just feel like that's his role. Are you okay?
Adam's in a lot of pain, man. Have you ever been on a long car ride and you're like, my hip's not going to make it? That's
I
our guy.
ruined my body for this dumb 3-on-3.
Well, no, hey, don't say that. You came in second.
Well, let's sacrificed it all. I'm gonna be like Kevin McHale. You ever see him? He walks like he's like completely hobbled.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it's worth it so that everyone could talk about Larry Bird.
exactly. My guy is Julian Strawther for me. I like what I saw. I think I was encouraged by what I saw from him, and I don't even think he was necessarily good. He's going to have to get over a certain hump of just familiarity. But when you look at it, I've been a little bit of a Strawther skeptic. It's not that I think he's bad. It's just I always like guys to show it before. We too often you extrapolate off of talent or this or that, skill set. His getting by guys, his off the dribble game stood out to me a lot more than I expected.
Yeah,
and his shot not necessarily as much as I expected, but more in line with what I expected. But his off the dribble game that's something Denver could use, and I would not be surprised if he has a good year. By March and April, that might actually be a real weapon for Denver.
Definitely. And he kind of has proved in these 2 games that he's going to be more than just a shooter. We've talked about him all summer as pretty much, a quote unquote shooter. They need more threes. They need somebody to shoot them. Julian Strawther, he's going to play. They only have really 4 guards on this team. So he's going to be the guy who's their quote unquote shooter off the bench, regardless of what lineup he comes in. That's going to be his role. But he's flashed that off the dribble game in the preseason. He's gotten to the paint. He's gotten to the basket and shown off that floater too, which still looks great. I mean, that's his kind of go-to shot when he gets into the lane, when he passes up the 3 or just doesn't take the 3. So he's more of an all-around offensive player than I've given him credit for. And we've seen him show that in the preseason. And like you said, they need guys who can attack, who can penetrate, who can beat their man off the dribble. And he's shown he can do that.
We think of Malone kind of as this old school coach, but he has these funny little wrinkles in his MOs that might run counterintuitive to the way he's been presented. One of them is he low-key loves shooters.
Yeah.
I know you think of him as this defense kind of lunch pail guy, but he actually loves shooters. Maybe not Michael Porter Jr., but he loves shooters. And so I just think that's really interesting. But the only thing he loves more than the shooter is a shooter who can also put the ball on the floor. And there hasn't been a ton of that in the last 2-3 years. So I do think that's what he likes about Julian Strawther so much.
You saying, can I give you a hot take I just thought of when you said this?
Yeah.
I'm ready for a hot take. Kale, get ready for the peppers.
Let's go.
I predict that this season, Michael Malone is going to become a Mike guy.
I love this. I love it so much.
What do you mean by that?
4 peppers only. I think that's right. I think 4 peppers is about right. I think Michael Malone has been a reluctant MPJ lover for a long time.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling this year it flips. And he's like, you know what? That's my guy.
I love this guy.
I love this guy.
Look how hard he works.
Look how hard he works.
Yeah.
It's always you don't appreciate the thing you have an abundance of.
Yeah.
And then when it's gone, you're like...
I feel like he's gotten close to
has.
this already
He
because
has.
we talk about Michael Malone, pulling MPJ off the court late in games, not trusting him.
I mean, this is all stuff that happened.
But I do feel like we've overblown that a little bit.
I don't. I just think it's, to your point...
Last season, I feel like that went away a lot.
I agree.
But we still talk about that like that's a big thing, which I don't really think it is anymore.
That's a good point.
Well, I don't know whether we talked about it or not. Honestly, I don't
I'll
remember.
sign up for
But
that.
what I will say
I'm
is,
just kind of reading into your mind. I'm really just thinking what you're thinking.
what I would say is, yes, 2 years ago, even the championship year, it felt like Mike was in a box. Last year, I still think he was kind of in a box, but there was more appreciation perhath along.
Yeah.
I think this is the year. I think Michael Malone comes full circle, or he's like, you know what, we need some Mike Porter right
Well,
now.
I really, really liked that both at the exit interviews and at the start of media day, he defended Mike and how he played in that Minnesota series. And I do think Wind is right that last year was the beginning of what we're talking about here.
Like, I would actually like to go back and see how many times he actually got pulled off the court late in fourth quarters, because it was definitely less than we think it was.
For me, it was.
I don't think it was a lot last year. I think it was more 2 years ago. And then he was hurt the year before that. So then you're going 4 years back before that. And I think it was a real thing then.
I'll give you a specific way it could be different, though. And I think it started to change last year as well. For the longest time, you could be like, hey, coach, Michael Porter Jr. had 3 blocks in the third quarter. How do you think his defense was tonight? And he'd be like, great. But again, it's not just Michael Porter. No, that one could have been, though.
You like swerved right away.
yeah. And maybe this year you start to hear, like, you know who, just unsolicited, you know who is out there grinding.
And I think Westbrook, maybe even bring some MPG. I mean, every table setter loves playing with shooters. And I just think, you know what? I'm in on it. Michael Malone, Michael Porter, bromance here.
Really quickly on Strawther, though, my big takeaway from Summer League was that he had made the little confidence leap. I agree. And he was actually injured in Summer League and playing with not great guys. And I still thought it looked kind of, I don't want to say easy for him because he was hurt, but definitely like he belonged. And so I think there's a little more of him. Whatever he's trying, he's doing it with an ounce more confidence, and I think that's going to go a long way.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, let's talk about this midseason trade because I do have a take. Do the Nuggets need to make a trade in season? Is this like a first half of the season roster, not a second half? We'll talk about that on the other side.
Bet365 is never ordinary. Never ordinary. I don't know if you guys were betting on the NFL. This weekend.
I won the DNVR bet.
The DNVR custom bet on Bet365 cashed. It was Raiders under 19 points and a Broncos win. That's what happened.
The Raiders had 10 points in like 40 seconds. And I was like, well, this is going to suck. Guess what? It was so freaking fun. Those are my favorite Nuggets games in a long time. Broncos games.
We have custom bets for the Broncos every single week on Bet365. We'll try to come up with another winner for next week when they are playing the LA Chargers. Broncos are currently 3-point underdogs.
Oh, I love it.
At home.
Underdogs at home?
Against the Chargers. A home dog.
Nobody believes in us?
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying out there.
Man,
check out Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Sign up with code DNVR365. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. You can hit that QR code right there on the screen too to get set up. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Shout out Bo Nix, first person to yell back at Sean Payton in half a decade, perhaps.
Kind of love it.
Yeah.
Kind of love it.
Yeah.
Hey, if I needed new
Call him
flooring...
Ferris Bueller.
I know. What did he even mean about...
Yeah. Nobody knows. It's so great.
Yeah, I get the reference, but what did he
That
mean?
was a Michael Malone.
But it was a bad one. It was like Michael Malone lands the plane no matter how obscure.
The best part was postgame when they asked Bo Nix about it, and he was like, I don't know, I've seen that movie maybe once or twice, I guess. Like,
really? He definitely has not seen it.
Yeah, come on, once or twice.
I've seen it. I still don't know what he meant. Here's what I do know. If I needed new flooring, I would go to Empire Today. Not just because I'm doing this particular read, but because I remember every Empire Today ad I've ever seen growing up. The jingle's awesome. You guys know about this brand. You should know about this brand. We have the best roofers with Red Hot Roofing. We have the best floorers with Empire Today. You know, what you leave out of a selection when you're providing, for a consumer is kind of as important as what you put in. So Empire doesn't want to just give you every single flooring option out there. They only want to put in the stuff that's worth your time, worth your money. And they are the best at this. So you'll see some copycats. But if you see people saying they're advertising the lowest prices, understand that that's because they're advertising low quality products that are beneath Empire Today. And they don't want you to feel overwhelmed with inferior or alternative options. Check out their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space without that commitment. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/DNVR for details.
All right, back here, segment 3, DNVR Nuggets Podcast. Don't forget Ariana in studio next Tuesday. Come down and see her at the bar. That'll be like the unofficial start of it's like the end of the preseason. We get the tarot episode. It'll be fun. Do the Nuggets need a midseason trade? So now that we've seen the team, I will say this. You can read too much into Summer League. Our job is to talk about, or to preseason, our job is to talk about this team 5 times a week. It's easy for us even to over-discuss some things. But yes. I will say that when it comes to, does this team have the depth to get through a regular season and all the pieces you need, I actually think that is one takeaway I walk away from, not as a take, but as a, first impression. Is I think this team has 9 real guys, as Cal has said, and that they probably need 10, 11 guys. Maybe one of those comes from the pipeline of Vlatko plays better, as Zeke surprises us, a Hunter steps into a role. Maybe that happens naturally. But my hunch is, one way or another, they're probably going to have to make a trade. Is that too much of a hot take, Wind?
Well, are you saying it feels like it felt last year?
Yes.
So then they probably do need a trade.
Yep. And that's exactly what I mean. Not that they're like, some deficient team. It's just that, you know what? you're probably going to need another shooter splash ball handler. You might need another power forward option or someone there, a stretch four type. I think that there's a real... Here's what I think. I think Cal came into the season thinking, I cannot, because of how last year went, I cannot have certain pieces on the roster. I need to see what we have from these young guys.
Yeah, so it's like, I can't have Justin Holiday here because then I'm not going to know what Julian Strawther has.
Just won't know. And so, but I think he knows that I do need a Holiday. So my hunch is that this is the force the young guys to play. It's probably going to cost us a little bit, but you know what? Come January or February, it's understood that I'm going to have to do something.
But you are an injury away from Hunter Tyson, Zeke Naji.
Might force your hand before that.
Playing.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, kind of that's the question. Like, are you... And to me, this is the Zeke conversation, which everyone has had and is kind of exhausted with at this point. But that's he should be the 10th guy. He either needs to be playable or on a different contract right now. And that's where it becomes a disaster. He could be the stretch four. He obviously is not. Or just the next guy up if there was injury. He obviously was not. So is one of Vlatko or Zeke playable right now? And I think if you feel like the answer is no, then I think they do need a trade.
The thing is, with how the Nuggets are set up, we are going to find out this season for sure, and especially in October, November, December.
Yeah.
We are going to find out if Julian Strawther is going to be a playoff guy.
Ooh, a playoff guy? You think we'll know in October, November?
I don't think we'll have
know
a good
that.
idea. But I'm saying just before the trade deadline, the roster is set up in a way where we'll have a pretty good idea.
Okay.
Last year, it was set up in a way where we weren't going to have an idea because there were other guys in the mix.
I thought Peyton Watson was a playoff player, and then he wasn't. So I that's why I say I just don't know, man.
I just think this year we're going to have a better idea than we had last year.
Okay.
At the different checkpoints of the season. And so I think they'll be able to make a pretty easy determination on if they do need somebody or not by the time the trade deadline hits, because they'll have a good amount of data, or they should have a good amount of data on Strawther, Watson, these other guys.
I think the Nuggets make a trade at this deadline. I think it's the disaster scenario because you've already lost to Holmes, because a Pickett has looked so bad and a Zeke has looked so bad traditionally, although it sounds like you might have a little hope for Zeke to bounce back a little bit. Because of those things, no. Denver is now one injury away.
Definitely not.
Just throwing that on you now. Like, you're the guy that said he's going to be an all-star this year, but we'll see. Yeah. He loves Zeke Naji.
Don't put that on me. Yeah. Don't put that on me.
But because of all those things, like if everything goes perfectly, no injuries or anything else, I actually think Denver can survive all the way to February. This concern is now Murray pulls a hammy or Aaron Gordon misses some time. It's like now you start to, it really feels thin. And so I think that there is a scenario where the hand gets forced a little bit earlier. Denver in the Jokic era, when Murray was healthy at least, has never been in the, oh crap, we're in the 6th seed at Christmas Day. They've always been top 3. You know, they've always been up there.
Since they turned that corner, yeah.
Since they turned that corner. And so if this is a year where you find yourself there and there's some injuries and you're concerned, it might be a thing that there's always one team that beats the deadline. Every team makes moves at the deadline, or that's when all the moves happen, but there's one team that makes a December move because they just got desperate enough early. Could be Denver.
Yeah, and usually that trade doesn't work out, except it just got Dallas to the finals, right? Or several of them did. Not that I think Denver has that same elasticity or sort of, they don't have the same amount of, I think, audibles they can call right now.
I want to pull on this, though, because Dallas doing it is important. Like, the team that just won did this, because I think there is a fear of, like, nobody makes a move and then goes on. Dallas doing it, there might be something, too, teams being more... This new salary cap situation has changed everything. Teams might be more like, hey, man, this is the new environment. We just the teams are going to be turning over not just year to year, but sometimes mid-year, and you can't be afraid of that the way you traditionally were.
So could we narrow it down to an archetype, what you would be looking for?
Shooting. And I personally think it's probably more shooting from a power forward position that has a little bit of defense. But I think that shooting guard with a handle, you know, is also an option that I could see happening. And by the way, I know everybody looks at Markelle Fultz out there. I don't think Denver's plan is to try to buy Pickett out and add someone. But it is a thing that if you have an injury early on in the season, it's like, you know what, F it, we have to do it. It costs $3 million to get rid of this guy. Cronkies, do you want to waste the whole year, or do you want to spend $3 million to bring some new guy in? And that might be the answer.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, shooting is the easy one for sure. It's the one you can definitely look at and say, you can see how they would need that.
From the guard spot or the forward spot more?
Probably the guard spot. Just because looking ahead to the playoffs, you're playing Jokic 30-something minutes. You're
right.
playing Aaron Gordon 30-something minutes.
Right.
You're going to be playing Michael Porter at the foursome too. There's just less minutes there to work with.
You might need ball handling.
Yep.
That's like an area.
And Russ, I think right now I am buying regular season, but you probably don't want him playing 30 minutes in a playoff game. So there is like I could see that. And that is where some people feel Julian Strawther has become so important here, to just be that other guy.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
When we talk about Strawther, we're kind of circling back to the last segment here, but is there, an open position battle right now for shooting guard? Christian, I thought defensively we've been very impressed with him. Offensively, he's been a little bit worse. I guess 2 games on the other side of the globe. I'm not going to read into it, but I'm just saying momentum. If we are doing this on a game by game basis, like, is there a world where CB becomes more expendable than a Strawther? Because CB, you think you can get some good value out of if you have to make a. We all think the trade is Zeke Naji and Pickett, Hunter, and that. But if it is like, no, but we need a big piece to include. Is there any world where it's like, you know what, CB's good and we like him, but they really need this player?
I mean, it depends on how good that player is.
It's equal to Christian Brown, but in a different category.
As a starting 2 guard.
As a fringe starter, as the 6th best guy.
Look, desperate times call for desperate measures. If it's obvious that it's not working with Christian at the deadline, yeah, that is something you have to look at. Absolutely, because, the vision you have for Christian Brown is he's the clear-cut starter this year. And it's not just that he's an adequate starter. I think the vision is that he's an above-average starter right now at the 2.
Yeah.
He's got to be that to win a championship this year. And you've got to think of him that way. So if it's clear, if he's having a terrible shooting year, if it's clear he just hasn't taken a step offensively, his defense is going to be there. But I feel like if you're at the trade deadline and it's clear that Christian Brown just is totally lost offensively. And look, I don't think there's a scenario where that's really going to be the case. But if he's just having a terrible shooting year, if he's lost confidence totally, I think you have to look at that for sure.
Is Tari Eason a Christian Brown caliber player?
I think Christian Brown's better.
Yeah, I do too.
So the chat is saying not CB, P-Watt. Which is another option. Again, I hope these things don't happen. I like Christian Brown a lot, Peyton Watson. I'm not trying to trade these guys. I'm just, when you look at, in a championship year, you almost always have to bleed for it. You always have to give up something that was not part of what you wanted. And so is it a Peyton Watson? Is he like a Tari Eason caliber guy? Is he better?
Definitely higher upside. Definitely higher upside. They're probably pretty similar right now, but P-Watt definitely has higher upside.
But that might be the play that has to happen is, like even Strawther, if he's a guy that's traded, it's like we know this guy could be better than what we're getting, but he's not better right now. And the Nuggets can win a title
Tari
right now.
Eason probably isn't a big enough upgrade to do that.
Yeah,
I also think there's
example.
another layer to this, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I think this is an important layer. Do you know what it would take for Malone to wave the white flag and punt and concede on this front of the war with Malone and with the Nuggets fans who don't believe in him? And
Calvin Booth, you're saying?
Yeah, Christian Brown is like the face of what Calvin Booth believes and is trying to do here.
Yeah.
We can just... He's the first one to do it. KCP, we don't want it. We're not even going to bother. Christian Brown, come right...
I could be wrong about this. I don't know. There are certainly guys that are like that. I think Cal is less like that than the average GM.
Okay.
I think Tim was one of those guys, like my guy. I'm going to go down with the ship. We saw Barton. We saw the different types of guys. I think Cal is probably a little bit more willing to kill his children, so to speak. If it was like, hey, this is the thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you use that expression because that is what he would be doing here. Christian is his first sort of like, this is my move and I'm extremely confident it's going to work. So
yeah, I think the Nuggets make a trade though. I would actually be shocked, and I'll even go as far as to say this. It's not that I think the Nuggets can't win a title this year, but I do think they probably need a trade to get it done. I don't think they need to panic. I think that I can see the logic to let's give as many minutes as we can to Strawther, Christian, Peyton, Vlatko, Zeke. Let's give as many minutes as we can, but there will come a point when we're going to have to make a hard call and say one of these guys has to go, and we have these other pieces here, and if it gets us a slight upgrade, not even like a major upgrade, but it gets us a slight upgrade that's going to be playable now, I just think Denver ends up making that move if they win a title this year. I don't think they go in with the 15-man roster that they have now.
Shooting with a little defense from the 4 spot. Are you describing PJ Tucker?
Well, PJ, it's funny you mentioned that. PJ Tucker, let's go into it real quick.
Oh, I was trying to set up a break. But.
Oh, all right. Let's take a break. On the other side, maybe.
Nice.
Shout out to our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery, Breck Brew, the official craft beer of DNVR. And you can check out Breck Brew's new West Coast style IPA, the Ridge Runner. Double dry hop brew inspired by the untamed beauty of Colorado's trails.
Oh, it really is. Top 3 Breck beer.
Yeah.
That's a top 3. Palisade Peach, Avalanche Amber, and then the Ridge Runner. My top 3, I think.
You can find
Not in any
the
order.
Ridge Runner on the beer locator at breckbrew.com. Type in your zip code. It shows you where to get Breckenridge Brewery near you. Breck Brew is made with 100% renewable energy. They've been doing it for 33 years. It all comes down to their love and passion for making good beer, and that's what they do. Damn good beers at Breck Brew. Check out their beer locator. You can find the Ridge Runner. You can find the Avalanche Amber. You can find the Palisade Peach. They have good company hard seltzers too. Breckbrew.com to find a brew near you.
We had a great time this weekend enjoying some of the multiple DNVR events that our events team put on. Obviously, the three tournament at the Basketball Social House was a huge success. Shout out to Swishers, the inaugural champ. Sorry, fellas. It was a valiant effort. And then the next day I got out and checked out the Broncos tailgate. And we really do throw the best tailgate in Denver's, fellas. Tailgate season is here. DNVR is the best tailgate in the city at the back lot of Sports Fan at 18th and Federal. I went down there, recorded a little fan vote. You can keep your eyes peeled for that. We made fun of Raiders fans, which aged super well because the Broncos then summarily kicked their butts, which was awesome.
Dude, those jerseys over the weekend, I know we're not a Broncos show. It brought back so many good feelings.
It was awesome, man. And that really is a fun tailgate. The weather's been popping.
Dude, the weather in Colorado this time of year, I always say it, but October in Colorado, best place on earth.
Good food, good drink. So yeah, check out that event. Check out all of our events. Make sure you're periodically hopping over to thednvr.com. Check out the events page. You might be RSVPing ahead of time for some sweet events like the ones we enjoyed this weekend.
There you go. Final segment. PJ Tucker, for the second year in a row, has been sent home by the Clippers.
Oh, man.
The former
What a life, man.
Denver 14er.
I know.
I don't know if you guys knew that. The D League, not even the G League, the D League 14er, PJ Tucker. Look, they need a big who can guard and stretch to the corner. Makes a lot of money. He makes, Zeke Naji, Jalen Pickett kind of money. He does make that. You could do worse. Harrison, you could do worse than a guy who might be playable if you're trading two guys who are not playable. So why are you kind of laughing this one off?
Who said I'm laughing it off?
Well, I just heard a little laugh.
Who
heard a
said I'm
didn't you?
laughing
Did you
it
hear
off?
That was me laughing.
was
I'm
it?
being very serious right now. Look at the look on my face. It's a very serious look.
Okay. Get serious for me.
PJ
right now.
Tucker, like you said, has been sent home by the Clippers for the last 2 years. They've been trying to trade him for a year plus now. Nobody wants him. You got to think every team out there is just waiting for the Clippers to buy him out or just waive him. That seems like what's happening here.
He's the second oldest player in the NBA,
He's
isn't he?
39 years old. I was going to say that.
That is
He
insane.
comes with a big shoe collection. Can PJ Tucker play anymore?
We don't know.
I'm gonna guess
not.
probably not.
Yeah.
But there's a chance he still can. And you look at the other backup options that the Nuggets could have in their front court in a playoff setting. Would you trust PJ Tucker to give you 5 minutes? Or would you trust Zeke Naji or DeAndre Jordan to give you 5 minutes at backup center?
First of all, how dare you ask me this question?
I know it's a tough
Hey,
one.
this is a question that the Nuggets, if they don't make a trade, could be faced.
But here's
with.
let me put it to you this way. I just believe that there are some guys, Michael Porter, who Michael Malone is growing to like a little bit more over time. And there are some guys that I think Michael Malone will never love. And Zeke Naji is one of those guys. And forget who's better or worse, because I think that's like, who knows? Is Zeke Naji here in Denver going to be better? You trade him to the Clippers. Does he have a breakout? Maybe it's possible. But you know what? I do think there's just this like toughness thing. Like Denver has their core pieces that are impact players, and now you need guys that bring other things like just toughness. And you give me Westbrook, or you give me PJ Tucker, I kind of like it.
You're also just creating the Clippers.
Yeah, hang on a second.
From last year.
Now we're.
Well, they're not. But you have Jokic. There's a difference here. You have a Jokic. You have a Murray. You have a Porter. You have a Gordon.
PJ Tucker kind of has like bad vibes, I feel like, a little bit.
He's been in Clipperland.
I know. He's been in some bad situations too. Philly, Clippers.
Also, why is
he could get the kind of good vibe
Boost,
juice that Russell Westbrook is getting from joining the Nuggets.
Why is he being sent home? Is it a role dispute again?
Probably doesn't like the role.
So, you know,
Also,
she's like, hey, come here and play a role.
knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying it's a position of need if you're not feeling Vlatko, if you're, or do you feel like it's, I mean,
Look,
it's
there
so
are-
long.
Right now, it probably doesn't make sense to bring in PJ Tucker. Right?
So you wait out the clock, the price goes way down. You're literally just getting rid of contracts that people are so upset about.
I just think
think about it, even if it's only 1 year, he's an expiring contract. Zeke, pick it if that's what it costs.
Well, if you're getting off contracts, I think that is.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the deal,
Yeah.
like, why not? But I feel like with Vlatko, with maybe Michael Porter at the 4, you just kind of want to see how that looks a little bit before making a deal for PJ Tucker, who, I mean, if he's unhappy in LA, he might be unhappy here too.
It just feels so Clippers and Sons of us, doesn't it?
I mean, we got DeAndre Jordan.
And it worked.
That's what I'm saying. We got Jeff Green. Like, we've already picked up the,
And I'm currently excited about the Westbrook thing. So, yeah, I mean,
it's not like you're adding Kawhi Leonard.
and it, by the way, at the expense of Zeke Naji, like all due respect, but not like a beloved part of the core.
Hunter Tyson as well, though. Throw him in as well.
Sure. So, yeah, I get it. I just look, the most important line of the argument is that the current options are not very good. But PJ Tucker's going to be 40, man.
All right, enough sad stuff. He's
He's
really
got
old.
great shoes, though.
He is really old, man. Enough about that.
Think about how you feel today.
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine. The other thing is like he wants to play a role. Part of it is like, you know what? Just don't start playing. Do the Andre Iguodala. Remember Andre Iguodala in his
just
last like
wait.
4 years didn't
Yeah.
play till February, and then it's like, hey, you can survive that long. Let's talk about Abu Dhabi real quick, because I will say, however the Nuggets performed on the court, it did look like it was a phenomenal trip. What do you have for us, Kale?
Abu Dhabi.
This is the team arriving. By the way, shouts to the Nuggets social team. Really leveled up over the last few years. What an elaborate welcome.
I love how basketball players, there's literally not a place or an event on earth they would arrive to dressed any differently.
Well, to be fair, have you
Off
ever
the
done
plane.
the flight
Off the
that
plane.
long?
I get it.
They are zombies right now.
But this is also what Christian Brown wears to the Met Gala. So
I will say, though, just an incredible photo. I love that Christian Brown doesn't know how to stand.
it's my favorite part, actually.
I love that Russ definitely brings the style to the Nuggets. This is incredible.
If you see how the vets packed for Abu Dhabi specifically.
Yeah.
Russ,
Yeah.
Yoke, DeAndre Jordan.
The color palette even.
Whereas the young guys like Christian Brown
Shorts
just
and
packed like
t-shirts.
he's going to
yeah.
San Antonio.
Yeah. No, it's a total AAU outfit. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
you're like,
that's
oh,
what
we're
I'm
going to an AAU tournament. Just brought a lot of shorts.
You can always spot a basketball player in the wild because they're wearing one of 3 outfits.
Right.
And then there's Russell Westbrook.
Now, this is a vibe right here. We've talked about it. Sitting way on the back. Do you see how those camels get them on? I
Yeah.
just think this stuff really is a cool experience.
So I've actually ridden a camel
Have you?
before.
Oh, that's
Don't
right,
know
in
if I've
Israel.
mentioned that
Yeah,
on
you
the
I
should.
show.
have also ridden a camel.
I'm not
Yeah,
surprised
whatever,
about that.
whatever,
I'm not
Kale.
surprised. In Abu Dhabi.
In Abu Dhabi. I
There's
rode a
now
camel.
no- all you need to know about Kale.
The scariest part is when you're on the camel and they sit down. Because I think they sit down front legs first, so
Yeah.
you're kind of like...
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
they do. You tip way forward. You have to like
so
kind of lean back.
That's the scariest part, just for all you out there who haven't ridden a camel before.
Do you think Yoke's camel was like, Jesus?
I
dude.
doubt he rode.
Did
I
you
doubt
hear Yoke
rode
say
one.
he had never ridden a horse before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bizarre,
He's too
man.
big.
Why is that bizarre?
To have never ridden a horse but be a horseman?
In Europe, they don't. The more popular horse racing is the trotters.
Yeah, but I'm not a horse trotter or anything, and I've ridden horses.
Yeah,
Like multiple.
You're not a real horseman.
Well, I'm not a real horseman, and yet I have ridden a horse. That's all I'm saying.
I also think Yoke would kill a horse if he got on it.
No way.
So
there's a big old
that, too.
Clydesdale. All right, what else do we have here? Look how gorgeous this looks.
I don't think Clydesdale
This was
get
the whole
ridden like that.
So I got to do a night like this where like you go out to the desert and have the traditional
Yeah, I've
meal
also had
and
dinner
do
at
all
desert,
this.
Cal.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, really? You guys live great lives. This looks incredible. I'm going to Scottsdale for vacation in a week. That's my big trip abroad. This it does look incredible. I will say the whole point of this trip was to make Abu Dhabi look nice. They succeeded. It looked awesome.
I mean, Abu Dhabi is very nice. It's a very nice place to visit.
Yeah.
If you're an NBA player with money.
And I feel like it was really good bonding. This is why the basketball, it's so funny looking into the basketball. Not that it doesn't matter, but I really do feel like it's like, hey, this stuff. Why does he not have to ride on the ass? Do you see he's in the middle seat? Everybody else was riding on the ass.
No,
confused.
it'll zoom out. Oh, it
he's
doesn't
on the
really.
back,
I think
too.
there's
He's
also,
on the back too.
yeah.
You can see. Yeah, he's on the back.
No, there's a back part to him.
No, there's not. He's
There's
at
a
the,
back.
He's
you
at
think
the
somebody
back,
can fit
Adam.
behind him?
Adam, this is the exact kind of thing you would be wrong about for 5 minutes.
What is this? The chairman of departure of culture. I don't know if I
did you
did
see
this.
this guy in the second Nuggets Celtics game? He was sitting courtside.
Did an interview.
He was just standing up next to Joe Mazzulla in a full conversation while the game was going on.
Heck
It was
yeah.
him and Joe Mazzulla just standing on the sideline.
I can't tell you
That's
how.
what you can do when you're this guy.
I'm so anti Joey Maz, man. That guy drives
you know
me
I love
nuts.
Joe
I know
Mazzulla.
you do, and it kills
They
me.
have to be stopped, and we know
They have
who
to be
it's up
stopped.
to.
They
really.
have to be stopped. Malone wins the entire. This is the #1 photo of the entire trip. There are some absolute bangers. I think Russ has the second best one, but this one right here, this picture goes hard, as the kids say.
It's also hilarious, and it's hard to put my finger on why, but that's
It's
Pete.
the sunglasses. That really puts it over the edge. I
yeah, it
think.
really does.
And the Moach reverse smile.
Yeah.
Moach, that's a smile. He's frowning, by the way. That's a smile.
Photos look very interesting.
Again, I'm going
Oh,
to
look
say
at the
this
Russ one.
again.
The Russ one is #1. Russ really is like just incredible aura. Look
He
at him.
does have great aura.
Oh my gosh.
Is
I
he
would enjoy it.
meditating? Is he praying? I don't know.
So I just have to flex real quick.
Again?
This is my photo from when I was at the mosque.
That is a really cool photo, Kel.
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
That is a great photo, Kel. It's one of your best.
Thank you. Appreciate
That
it.
is
But
a
yeah,
great
it's a
photo.
super beautiful building.
Did they clear it out for you for a private tour? Like, what is going on here?
No, but we were there super early in the morning. They had just opened.
All right.
So
VIP
that's why.
access.
Yeah, it was
My
cool.
dad's a big fan of a big
Yeah,
friend of
ready
the
to-
royal
ready to
family out there.
For the context, my uncle lives out there. He does like oil stuff all out there. So
Is he looking for investment
Is he
opportunities?
trying to buy the Celtics?
What do we have here?
This is DJ.
Spencer
We're
Sarek.
at the
What's
Grand
up,
Mosque.
Gators?
Spencer, he's
Right
on a
here.
two-way
Russ is
contract.
right. Russ,
Dude, look at him hanging out with the two ways.
we're here.
DJ's so great. I'll bet DJ's a fun travel buddy.
We all looking good. Yep.
So I
they
had-
all put the
So
white.
I had
guys
heard
with
that
the
they
Grand
all
Mosque.
got not fitted for these, but they the Nuggets had to send in everybody's size for these before the trip.
I imagine DeAndre Jordan can't just get the one off the rack. Like, well, I think I'm a large, maybe an extra large. Let's
Yeah.
see. They're like, I'm sorry, that's not how this works. All in all, looks like a great team bonding trip.
You go to the airport. Actually,
What's been our best team bonding trip? We've had a handful. I mean, Serbia.
Serbia, yeah.
Serbia #1.
Serbia, and
what
then
was the most bonding though? I'm talking not the trip was fun, but what was the most bonding like part
I think
of
it
that
was
trip?
I think the
Me and Kale shared a bed at one point.
Oh, that's
That
true.
did happen. That did happen, yeah.
Vogt and I cuddled, big spoon, little spoon in 120 degree weather. It was the
absolute
worst night of my
worst
life.
sleep of my life. If you thankfully we woke up horrendously hungover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
with
On top of
no
that, we
AC
were
on.
really, really drunk.
I actually, you know what I think was up there was the first all city frat house we did in Vegas. I felt like
what
I
was
got
the first?
so-
Oh, with the
with the floaty.
the
boy.
floaty, the
Yeah.
pool thing. Yeah,
I
that
felt
was
like
a
I
great.
got,
ride.
I got
Great
close
trip.
to everyone.
That was an incredible
That was a good
trip.
trip.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
That
Can we
one,
think-
yeah.
What are some other ones? We've had some weird ones.
Summer League's always good. I loved our San Diego trips. Those are always
La
fun.
Jolla is awesome.
Yeah.
Like La Jolla is sneaky great. I'm kind of bummed that they didn't go to La Jolla this year because I like it so much. We had a little meetup. I feel like if we would have done this year, it would have been a big meetup. It was great. Yeah, there's been some good ones. Any other ones?
internal temp is high, bro. Allowed to cool.
We're overheating.
All right. Let's
I'm
read
gonna
these
throw
super
a graphic
chats.
on.
Yeah, we're gonna read super
let's read the
chats.
super chat. We can read them from the side, Cal.
This one's from Cedric Exquisite. No, we don't need a trade, and no, Kale, don't time us out for our takes. No. If Zeke sucks and Chanchar sucks, can hope they improve. Vogt, how do you like the Saric-Russ duo? I like both of them as additions to the team. I don't know how I feel about them as a duo. Good question, Cedric.
This is Swedish crowns, I believe, right?
Nash Sweden sending in Swedish crowns, sources tell me.
I don't know.
Still a weak roster. 3 worst players, Pickett, Chanchar, Najee. We should get rid of them. DJ could also be a staff member rather than a player.
I mean, that's not really how it worked, but I understand the sentiment, at least with Chanchar and DJ.
Yeah, I feel like when you cross over to become a coach, you're
no longer
kind of lose the
you
locker room mojo.
Yeah, that's a good point. Super Dope Hip Hop is going to close out with another statistical reminder about what Jokic and Murray are capable of.
Hell
Since
yeah.
1997 in
in
the playoffs, Murray is tied for 6th for the most 25-plus point games for the most 25-point plus 50% plus halves. And Jokic is tied for 7th. So halves, 25 points or better, shooting 50% from the floor or better. Murray is 6th, and Jokic is 7th for the most ever. Shaq, Kobe, Curry, Durant, Braun, Wade, only other duos in top 7. Heads up, Nuggets fans. So your bottom line there is statistical precedence here for what you've seen. Jokic and Murray at their best in the playoffs is as good as it gets. And that's why the end of the roster, I think, should not outweigh the top of the roster if they're able to stay healthy.
That does it for today's show. The Denver Nuggets should be back at practice tomorrow, though I have not official word. I hope they are. Look forward to doing that. They're back at practice all week long before going over to the weekend for another preseason game. So we'll have shows for you all week. Everybody, hit that like button on the way out. See you on the other side.
We all silly like the mayor.